This session brought to you by Odyssey Games for pre-orders and sealed product, CCG Prime for tons of singles and supplies, Cardo Doko for international rulers looking for product, and fowtlibrary.com for articles and wonderful deck lists, as well as our guest lecturer members King Pearlshine, Vite Ramen, Mognite, and Darren Noblock. Class is in session.
Commander, so don't even talk to me.
Hey there,
about stun right
rulers!
now.
Welcome back after a very long week of Force of Will to your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast. It's office hours, featuring a cool new format so the four of us can talk about spoilers. As always, it's me, DMO73, wearing the OG DMO73 shirt today.
Where are the gloves?
And I'm joined as no gloves. They're over
No
there.
gloves.
No gloves, no
not
love.
today.
Yeah.
As always, I'm
shirt
joined by
means
Mike
nothing.
Rance
Hello, I'm sneezing.
and Paul Reisman.
I got a sword up my sleeve.
Hey, and Lance Maverick.
Hello.
Hi, Lance. Good to have you. As always, before we get started, just want to send a reminder that if you like what we're doing, want to consider supporting the channel, you click that join button down below. Gets you access to the emotes and all kinds of other cool perks, and also just to go show your love to us. But as always, you can always just like and subscribe and share out the videos as well. We appreciate that too, and glad that you're here. Boys, first week of spoilers came out, and we get to talk about two, or I guess 1.75 rulers today.
Yes.
Excellent.
Because we don't really know too much about Reunion right now.
It's just sus.
It is very sus. We'll get more. But we have a lot of cards to talk about. Before we get into the whole spoiler talk, though, there's a few things that we know, just kind of news and events to kind of get out of the way. First off, we did have a GP this past weekend. We will have a tournament report up for that later this week. You can also go watch the VOD on the channel. The biggest takeaway for me from the entire weekend was 55 players, was that our top 8 was 7 different rulers, 8 very different decks, and not a single one of them was Hyde.
Weird.
It's crazy.
Keeping in mind that one of the players in finals was DQ'd because of a situation with a number of cards and potential cheating stuff, but we're not going to dig into that. And so the 9th place then becomes the 8th place, and I don't know what Blake was playing, so I don't know if he shifted the deck makeup there. But anyway, regardless, the makeup after 5 rounds was still 7 different rulers, 8 different decks, and that's what I want to focus on just real quick. Like, what are your thoughts seeing in a not Wild West meta, like we've had multiple events in this meta, that this is the result that came out of it?
It's super reassuring. I thought for sure after the last tournament that we were just going to see a very homogenized top 8.
Sure.
I am genuinely curious what this would have looked like with a paid invite, but again, it is good to see it in GP, even with an unpaid invite, as the carrot dangling onto the end of it.
Yeah, people showed up to play. Like we saw a lot of like people we expected to do well in the top 8, as well as some brand new players. Jeremy Lindley ended up winning the whole thing on Ainz. So kudos to Jeremy, has his unpaid invite, and will hopefully be joining Team USA. So for the breakdown was Ainz, 2 very different Aristella lists, Killua, Order, Alice, Oct, Falchion, and Olga. And then the Olga deck was the one that got DQ'd. So, Paul, what about you? What are your thoughts?
It's also reassuring to me in the sense that like the environment is so wide that people were like, we're going to try some really weird and janky things. Like there were certain decks that I was like, this could probably do really well today if there were certain cards included in the list. Right? So like that beer that we saw on stream was like, if we just had a Lorite here, we would have won. Right? If I was playing in the event, I might play that Val 1 deck that we saw as well, because that was super funny.
Some
Just,
really
like,
interesting things
flash
from what I
things in.
heard. Some interesting things from what I heard. Asuka and Sword Faria. We saw Sword Faria last round. Both of those decks lost their win-ins, right? So there was a very real chance that Asuka and Sword Faria could have made their way into top 8 as well. Like, not a solved meta at all. We stand very much on the fact of like play tight, make good meta calls, and know your deck well, and you can potentially be successful.
And be
like,
a
and it
very
is just
good
going to
player.
Yeah, for sure.
It also speaks to the quality of the decks that are being produced in this new cluster, right? So like so much of what this cluster has been is we are going to give you the core and go for it. But like even the rulers at the beginning where they're like, we're going to give you this core card, experiment and have fun. Like that's all of that stuff, all of that design space is still like very much very potent, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of creativity room still. Like when Paul Martinson playing the Final Stance like package kind of cuteness with Raise and Revive and stuff in the Dark Alice or in the Aristilla build, I was like, oh,
So like
so
flash in
nice.
Dark Alice, sack off the Final Stance, play Brunhild, bring it back, get another turn. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was very cool. So I can't wait to see what else. We have one more event. We have a couple of European, I think France and Germany have their GPs in this environment. So I'm very curious to see what we see come out of that. We also have the May 20th Discord event for Ruler School. We're going to be starting officially those monthly Discord exhibition tournaments. And I do just want to show here on stream what the May tournament is going to be here. This is our May 2023 playmat. The top 8 players, it's a one-day event, $10 to enter. The top 8 players will get to walk away with this sick mat, which is awesome. Very excited to be able to give that away. We will also have events in June, which is Pink Spider. This is the June playmat for Pink Spider. In July, we have good old Little Maria, the Archaic Legacy.
When is that tournament in July?
The July one is happening after Worlds.
I was gonna say it's like, ooh, Jeremy, that's a little tight.
Yeah, I think it's a week and a half after Worlds, or like 2 weeks following Worlds. So yeah, quick turnaround. These are one-day events. Keep that in mind. And then we have August, which is Raging Messiah. Which is very, very cool. And then we have September, which is Imaginary God of the Fallen. And then there's not one for October, because you know what's happening in October? Foul Fest in person. So you better be there for that, because I also have a cool sampling of what the current progress looks like on the Foul Fest mat. Little preview here. We're going to have the band girls putting on a concert like in a band episode of a festival. Like a festival episode for an anime.
This is just like one of my Japanese animes.
There will
like
not
Bochi
be...
the Rock.
Yeah.
God, don't
Dark
talk
Hydra,
about
there
Bochi.
is not going to be a
More.
grand winner mat for those. It's just going to be a one-day event. If you place in the top 8 in Swiss, you walk away with the mat for that month. To make it one-day events, to make it more accessible to more people, we got some feedback that like some people didn't sign up because they wouldn't be able to play in day 2. So to just kind of make it a one-day kind of pop consistent event, we decided to do that. Okay. As we talk about these spoilers, just a reminder that Odyssey Games does have pre-orders for this set currently available on the website, so you can go ahead and jump into those. And with that, let's talk about spoilers. August mat fits the month perfectly. Super hot, all over the place. Everyone wants it to be cold, burning, and not fun.
Please, just make it in.
That's why I did it. For
Combo
Raging
band with
Messiah.
humidity.
Yep, combo band with Unity. Okay, so let's go into spoilers. So first up, we have Aristella, the Ascendant Prince of the Crimson Moon, who just has the text Partner 1 Moonchild. And we don't know how he tags with, we don't know how the extension rule card works to give him a partner from Cream Cluster. We also know that there are no new Moon Children for this set. So the real quick thing that I want to point out about this card, being that it's just Partner 1 Moonchild, is the fact that this reinforces the idea that you can play a support Grim Era. It points out 3 things. You can play a support class Grim Era ruler to support an Aristella deck, or you could use Aristella to bring a Moonchild to support a mainstay Grim Cluster ruler, right? Like you could play a heavy dark control deck with Abdul and then use Aristella to give Abdul a Moonchild. Like that's kind of cool. And also the fact that if it's the extension rule card that allows him to tag, that sets a precedent for future rulers having other extension rule cards to maybe tap into other clusters.
So it's
because
like
it's on
kind of revisiting the idea of a sealed item almost.
kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Okami Shonen, so is the tournament just one day or all of FowFest just one day? FowFest is 3 days. Friday is like the cosplay event and the cosplay contest and all kinds of awesome like side event time to earn points for the prize wall. Day 1 is side events and the main events Swiss rounds, and then day 2 is side events and Top Cut. So there you go. But let's go ahead and jump over to Aristella's contract real quick, which is Ascending to the Crimson Moon. 1 white, draw a card, put a non-chant moon with total cost 2 or less from your hand into the field. Awakening of red. If you control a moon entity, you may then contract this. And it flips over to being Red Eyes, a 0/10 with swiftness that gets plus 500 for every moon addition you control. Enter, this card deals 500 damage to your opponent and each J/Resonator they control, where X is the attack of this card. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Pretty good ETB, not gonna lie.
Pretty good ETB.
Big boy.
Big boy. Very, very Scarlet. Sorry. Whoever. Red Moon.
Close enough. Whatever.
It's Scarlet. in my brain, this is just a new Scarlet ruler.
No.
It feels very much like that. It feels very much like that, especially considering like the card has like little red on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like little red very clearly showing up to being like, hey yo, like what's up?
Just like what up, home slice? I'm here to make you aggro.
Yeah.
You've been playing too much Esper control. Time to be aggro.
Yeah.
Heard you like
pretty
Boros,
much.
idiot.
There's some interesting like legacy support for this card in the sense of like you get Tsukiyomi Noble,
Godly
you get
Aura.
First Moon, Godly Aura, you get Damascus Moon, and then of course
Well,
the
quick-
2 new moon.
Blood
Good
Moon?
question. Oh no, that's 3 costs. It's 3 costs. Shut.
Too bad.
Shut.
Too bad. Oh, but
Shut.
we'll talk about how that's playable now.
What about Tsukiyomi Noble? I want to put that into play.
Tsukiyomi Noble is kind of crazy.
Kind of cracked
That
with
card
this.
being able to. We have a lot of cards that have activate abilities and just like.
I'll play this in any deck that plays Tsukiyomi Noble. I'm just going to drop her on turn 1 after drawing a card. It's card neutral, and you can put a Tsukiyomi Noble into play. It's not card neutral technically, but whatever. We don't. Whatever.
Yeah, that's some people have talked about like the idea of playing again using Aristella and his core to support like an older ruler with all of these like ways to cheat in boons with like the OG little red ruler calling stone with Aristella using his contract to put in a moon that you can just judgment little red for free, flip it and go in like not
There you go.
not nothing, like legitimately not nothing.
Yeah. Quick question for you, Forceful playing Brainiacs here.
Sure.
Oh, I'll shut up.
Cool. So I'm the
So
only one who's
Paul and
allowed to
Jeremy
talk
got it.
apparently. Yeah, Paul and Jeremy. Here we go.
If you control a moon entity awakening, can you activate that if when you activate this card if you don't control a moon entity, but this would put a moon entity into play?
So it's pay cost, and then it resolves from top down, and the cost is just the red because the colon is after the red. So what
It
it'll do
checks
is
on resolution. Yeah.
it checks on
Okay.
resolution. So it'll be like pay white red, put into play, go to the next line. Do I have a moon? Cool contract.
Gotcha.
Like,
So
so
the only way
it can facilitate itself. Yeah.
Yeah, and the only way it doesn't really happen is if you try, and if you have no moons in hand, you try and draw the moon to put it into play, whiff on it, and then suddenly you just don't get the extra piece.
Yeah. No. You as long as you have a moon in hand, you should be good to go.
Yep. Checks out. I
So
had a
let's
feeling
go
that's how it
on.
was supposed to work.
Yeah, let's go to the next card. We have Light Curtain. It's one of the super rares. 1 cost X quick cast. You may remove X light cards from your hand from the game rather than pay this card's cost. Target X attacking J/Resonators and or J/Resonators that attacked this turn. The chosen targets lose all abilities until end of turn, then destroy them. You gain life equal to the total defense of the J/Resonators destroyed this way. One thing to keep in mind, if you're paying will into this card, you cannot also RFG cards. And if you're RFGing cards, you cannot pay will into it.
Yes, this
Keep that-
is not final battle.
This is truly one or the other, which is interesting because it means that you will always go, in doing the card mode, you will always go -1 with this card. In doing the will mode, you will have to just spend more will to get the same results and not go minus. So more will to go not minus, or ease of access and accept that you're going -1.
So keen-eyed Magic players will recognize this as Searing Blaze. It has the exact same rules text, so you can look at the the things that had, or not Searing Blaze. There was a card in Magic that had the same thing, and it was a big problem. So I'm interested to see how this one goes.
Very importantly, this flavor text is like intercepts the danger, but like the card can also target generators that attacked this turn, which means that it did a really shit job of intercepting the danger if they've already attacked. You know, if you really think about it.
Yeah, that to me, like a lot of people were saying, like, oh, this card is so good against Ainz. Don't get me wrong. I think this card is a good card against aggro decks, right? That's important. But the thing about it is it does say target. So, like, barrier is still a thing. And, like, you won't get any your opponent has to commit first, right? So this is terrible against control decks. Because control decks will just be like, I'm just putting bodies on board. I'm not going to swing yet. Like, this is an anti-aggro card. Like,
it's
good.
This kind of rule text kind of makes me wonder if there's going to be a thing that forces things to attack. Kind of like an Arthur
potentially.
effect.
We have Light of Megiddo, right?
Yeah.
There is Light of Megiddo that forces stuff to attack. But Light of Megiddo is like already murdering everything. So
Right.
like,
I don't know if we'll talk about it, but how much white mana we're putting out? Maybe a world
that's
where
true.
we
Like,
have an
that's
Arthur.
also true, right? Right? That's true. Like, there's a lot of cool things here, and there's a lot of stuff that Light deals with RFG stuff, and I can't imagine that we won't see some kind of cards that like get some value if they're RFG'd from play or be able to cast from RFG or something like that. It's a pretty common thing. You know, that also sets up the deck being able to play like Allosaurus, like the 9-drop that becomes a 2-drop, right? Like that's automatically a
Raise and
consideration for this
Revive.
deck.
There's a lot of things.
Yeah, which is in color, right? Which is cool. It's a cool card. Next up, we have Light Palace, Phantasmal Moon Castle. 1 white edition moon. Enter, draw a card. Tap, produce white or red. Play this will only to play Awakenings. It's a rare. Should have been a normal.
Yeah.
Correct.
I don't hate that this card exists, but it's also just very uninspired.
Could have been a cocoon.
No, it should not have been a cocoon. Stop. It feels very much like we wanted to give players an easy build of Aristella. Like, here's the way to just like. This card feels like the card that we are going to see as a 4 of in the like sample deck for Aristella,
Yeah,
right? So I don't hate that.
This feels like a starter deck card.
Yeah, exactly. Which is okay. Which is fine.
You need
like,
those.
Not every
Also a moon.
not every card is going to be cracked, right? Like it's just good. One thing to note about this is the fact that like the red, white, and Nyarlathotep from DBV has an awakening
and cares
So,
about
like,
moons.
and cares about moons.
To make more moons.
Just tap a moon to make more moons. Who needs Isis? We just play this.
Spoilers, Battle Wolf gets really good at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's also good. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Let's talk about Battle Wolf. So this is a 1-drop 4/4 moon beast. Tap with flying and tap to produce 1 white for each moon entity you control.
I want to know why this card has flying.
It's a wolf.
too.
He
It's a
jumped
wolf in
real
space.
high.
Space wolf.
He jumped real high.
I mean, so Force of Will. Things with wings don't have flying, but things without wings have flying.
Correct. That's very traditional foul.
Yeah.
Very important.
It defies gravity.
I see.
That is one thing to note about what people are talking about with the like RFGing all this stuff is that this will pair nicely if you want to do like Aristella with OG Lumia, who lets you cast a card from your RFG once per turn if she's judgmented.
I forgot about OG Lumia.
Yeah, you can just play OG Lumia.
Yeah.
Right? And then the other thing is like because you can get a Moonchild, you can play like the stone that's important for them, like Almerius the True Stone, Grus Ballesta the True Stone, and have it filter into another color. So it's not just like dead by itself. Like I legitimately am very excited for all of the Grim Cluster rulers we're going to be able to goof around with.
Interesting.
Yeah. Battle Wolf can get real big real fast in terms of the amount of will that you will produce.
Yeah. Plus,
Very large.
you know, there's it's because the will effect doesn't use the chase. Like if they try and kill this thing, you're gonna have ways to just
2,
like,
3, 4 will
generate a whole bunch of advantage off of this one wolf. It also makes Light Curtain marginally better because if you have like a couple of those Light Palaces on the field, you get just enough will to make Light Curtain useful.
Yeah, keep in mind that the Light Palaces won't be able to pay into Light Curtain, but Light Wolf can. Battle Wolf can.
Yeah.
So
Light Palace
just important to note.
is the moon that enables the Battle
Yeah,
Wolf thing.
for sure.
Yeah. I want to have multiple Battle Wolves. Oh my god.
So many Battle Wolves.
Keep the faith.
Wolf tribal.
Hey.
We can keep going. No, we're not.
Moon.
Oh!
So we have next.
Wait, hold on. Best thing about this card, it's a beast, so you can Princess Call to Action it to get the will immediately.
Heck yeah, you can.
Let's go!
Meme
Welcome to the Memecast! Brrr.
That's not bad, really. Like,
That's not bad.
It also cantrips, like it cantrips.
Yeah,
so like,
exactly.
Yeah, dude,
Legitimately
like-
makes you available to like just make a crap ton of will. So what?
All right. Challenge to everyone in the chat right now. Princess Call to Action Battle Wolf OTK. I want to see it.
is
I want Battle Wolf
our
Vlad to be a deck.
where's our call to action?
Oh, Paul, you're
Imagine if we
tickling my
get a
funny bone.
Perseus call to action promo for one of the next Wanderer promos. They'll be like,
Please.
"We heard Mike talk about this in the podcast so much."
We figured out our plan.
See, like,
I can,
have a
please
full
give us more.
art. I have
When
a
he goes
full
to
art,
Japan,
but
just
not
keep him here.
foils.
Okay. Next up, we have Rabbit of the
stay.
Crimson Moon. 3-drop 8/8 that you may pay 1 less to play this card for each moon entity you control. Enter, destroy target non-magic stone entity of total cost X or less, where X is the number of moon entities you control, and banish this card when you cannot be targeted by spells or abilities until end of turn.
I love this card.
I really enjoyed this card too. This is a fantastic Tea Party card.
Yes.
This is a
this card is-
fantastic normal.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Like, this card is very good.
Like dropping a 1-drop 8/8 that pops something is just
And that
good.
also can protect you later on.
Yeah.
give me barrier.
But Bunny ready to go.
There's unfortunately
Bunny
not
ready to
much
go.
to say
Also-
about it.
It's a
Yeah,
beast,
other
not a
than that,
rabbit.
we don't
bro.
really have much. Yeah.
Don't
Yeah,
you
it's a
say
beast,
give
not a
me
rabbit.
barrier?
Yeah, it's
Probably
also
so
on
that
the
you couldn't
moon,
play
so it's
Princess.
kinda garbage.
So that you couldn't play Princess, like Lunar Princess, right? Like, I'm glad it's not a rabbit, so that we couldn't suddenly see, especially since we have ways to pay for Awakening, that we're suddenly also not making, like, Kagi a Princess of the Lunar Rabbit with all this will about to grab 4 of these fucking things out of the deck for, like, no thing at all.
That'd be really
Like-
cool, though.
It'd be really
Okay.
cool. I don't want to see it. I don't want to deal with that.
Just have the Lorite. Easy.
It's fine. Or the Killua spell.
Yeah, there
Easy.
you go. Easy.
Next up, we have Spirits of the Crimson Moon. 2 cost 6/7 with Quick Cast Fairy Tale. You may remove a light card in your hand from the game rather than pay this card's cost. If you do, it gains Enter. Remove this card from the game. Enter, destroy target non-magic stone, non-J/resonator entity. Another way of, do you want to go -1? Technically -2. Because you're also not even sticking the body, right? I don't know.
Man, I heard you guys like Solitude from Magic.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how much of this is just an exact Magic card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
So-
not. This should not have been a rare. I'm not gonna lie, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, that should have been a
I kind of
normal.
agree.
Yeah, I would have swapped Rabbit and this in terms of rarity. Like, make Rabbit the rare and make this the normal.
Mm-hmm.
What
Like,
I can see that.
But, I mean, rares and normals are pretty much interchangeable. The only difference is the normal will be harder to get foils up
Yes.
randomly.
So maybe that's why. Maybe that's why Rabbit's a normal.
Maybe that's why they wanted you to go hunting for the full art bunnies.
because they know.
Oh, they know.
But they also
next
didn't
up
want
we
to deny
have-
you your cards.
Yeah, that's true. Next up, we really this card is gonna make a lot of waves, I think.
Oh,
Lingering Scent of
yes.
Fairies. 1 white quick cast. Put a resonator of total cost 2 or less from your hand into the field, then return it to its owner's hand. Draw a card. You want to know what we were talking about in the before this podcast? We were talking about the fact that with all this mana this deck is going to produce, you know what card I'm really glad isn't banned, but we maybe have to work a little bit harder to reveal? Drywing. You want to know what card reveals Drywing? A 2-drop resonator.
Hey,
You want to know what now everyone can play now? That card.
You know what's really interesting about this is I have a feeling this is going to be at launch combo banned with Melfi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
probably.
has to happen.
Yeah. Probably. Probably combo banned
Plus
with
1
Melfi
mana
immediately.
and plus 1 cards. Like, ugh.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, this card has
but
got
this-
immediate staple status. This thing is
Oh,
amazing.
yeah. This
Yeah, this card is very,
incredible.
very good.
If you can Judgment Welser into this with the
Staple card that's a
Melfi,
normal. Like, oh my god.
Again,
It's
they
this
knew.
might be the Killua. This might be the Killua spell of this deck. Like, this might
Oh,
be
yeah.
the like Killua city card of the new set. Just like get every copy of this card you can have because you are always going to want it. It is a very, very good card.
every game
Like,
that you're choosing somebody with this card, you're just like you look at your hand, you're like, smell that? Bam.
But think about it. Like, let's think about all the 2-drop resonators, right? So many of the Olympians,
Dark Alice.
the Dark Alice to RFG a graveyard. Like,
Abdul.
there's so many. Abdul
No, that
doesn't
doesn't
really
work.
do anything.
Never mind.
But I was like, the engineer, like we said,
Guardian Dragon.
the Guardian Dragon. If you really want to be cheeky, you can do 0 the King's Blade, and she won't leave the field.
True.
Oh,
Because you can-
Yeah.
cute.
Because so you can do like your first one being 0 the King's Blade, and then just play your other ones to put in your other 2-drops, and they also won't get returned to your hand. So you can just like pay 1, cheat a dude in, and keep it.
Oh, I got it. Flame Dragon of Altia to put the 12/12 in for free,
Yeah.
and then it bounces. Let's go.
Value.
Guardian
Got there.
Dragon. Someone mentioned
there.
Guardian Dragon.
Oh, Guardian
Like, that's
Dragon's really good, actually.
make it for a temporary stone ramp. Like, there's a lot of things that we can do with this.
Imagine if Gretel
I
was
mean, we were already using Ascendant, so I don't really know.
Soul!
I'm saying, like,
It's mono
use
white.
double ramp with Ascendant for 2 will now.
Spice.
Like there's a lot of applications for this card, and this isn't
Is
the
it a-
card that I said this about on stream, but this is like one of those things where like the Force of Will Company is trying to make me play White Olivia with this card.
What, sparkling fish?
White Olivia all day long.
White with the cancel fish.
Cancelfish.
Oh,
Or recover
Dark.
all the stones.
Recover all the stones.
Like,
Like,
there's a lot of
this card is-
applications for this.
this card is the new Kilo spell of this set. It's crazy.
Crazy.
It's
What's
good
the-
with Reinhardt. Yeah, Reinhardt, because a lot of their stuff just triggers when they leave the field for any reason. Like,
what's the
Always
worst
in
2-drop
hand.
I can find?
Just
Hang
produce
on.
free will.
yeah. Anyway, so this is Tinkerbell. So 2 white, 1 colorless, 10/10 with quick cast and drain. She's a fairy tale. Moon protection rulers and entities you control gain moon in addition to their normal types. Enter if the resonator with total cost 1 was put into the field under your control this turn. Draw 2 cards. If a resonator of total cost 2 was put into your field this turn, destroy all non-magic stone entities your opponent controls. And you can pay 1 white, reveal this card from your hand, put this card into the field, then remove it. Would you like to know what card is about to see a massive resurgence back into the meta? Exorcist Mage.
Yes.
Like,
Ironically,
Card about
also
to
a
be-
white card.
card is going to be everywhere.
This might be one of the best cards that I think they've ever printed.
Okay, Brandon Bremont.
No, it's so good.
Wow. Oh my god. Calm down, Jeremy. Jeez.
I think it's very, very good. I think this card is very strong. It feels like a Marvel rare. It feels
Yeah.
like, right? By itself, it doesn't necessarily do much, but it is like a great, like, it will not take much to get value off of this card.
And it's also
Right.
a Marvel that doesn't just go in Aristella. It can go
Correct,
in
it's a
any
generic.
deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind as well, like we're in the colors for this new era Stella that has all of the buyback from the RFG spells, right? So memory
Yeah.
disappearance and release.
Red, white,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, so you're like, there's a loop with release here. Just buy this back, draw a card, do it all again. Just there's fun stuff there. There's loops.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of things too with it being 1 white and then reveal this card. So it's
Yeah.
like even if it gets canceled, it's just like, okay, I'll pay another white and do it again.
Unless we have something that, like, stops you. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of start seeing it with everything we've seen, if we don't see something about, like, your opponent cannot reveal cards.
Yeah.
Right, that might be interesting.
That is definitely a possibility at this point.
Right. Okay, so we got one more white card, and then we're gonna end the conversation on the cards that we have from Ruler School. So we've got Moo Tribe Researcher, 2 white, 7/7 Moo Tribe. Enter. You may put target moon card from your graveyard into your hand. Discard this card to produce 1 void. Spend this will only to play the activation costs of an activate ability of a ruler you control. So this does not work for the filtering of will off of Moon Children. It does not work with Aristella. It does not work with currently any ruler in this cluster except for Hyde.
Which
And
is
it's
Violet.
kinda- Yeah, I was gonna say it's like, hey, we're really
And
sorry we had to
Violet.
ban Heart to Heart. Here you go.
Yeah,
Heart
it's
to
like a mini heart-to-heart
Mom,
kind of
Mom,
thing.
can we have
yeah.
heart to heart? We have heart to heart at home.
Heart-to-heart at
Yeah.
home.
Heart
yeah,
to heart
heart-to-heart
at
at home.
home.
So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like,
It's
It-
normal.
they gave me something that's like heart-to-heart, and I'm okay with it, right?
It's
Oh,
fine.
look.
It's
Grim
just
card.
interesting. It's interesting that it deals with moons and then it doesn't have an activate ability for Aristella.
Yeah.
I think that's the weirdest part.
Tsukiyomi Noble Resurgence with moons? Yeah, probably.
Most definitely.
It's the only moon that's a resonator outside of.
Hey, you guys just
2000.
forgot about Wolfgang? Oh, don't worry. I was thinking about Wolfgang with this card. Wolfgang
I-
probably slots
I
forward this
wasn't.
into his deck immediately.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Wolfgang
yeah.
being able to be like, discard 2 of these, immediately get a 2-drop edition. Like, great.
Oh yeah.
Can
Dance
you-
on Light of Raisin Revive. Heck yeah.
I wonder if you can FTK with this in Wolfgang.
Probably not.
You shut your mouth. We don't
can
need
try.
to talk about bad FTKs.
Does
We
it
can
involve
try.
Sprinting Steward? Legs.
No, actually, it doesn't.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think we can.
Yet.
Okay.
don't-
Yet. Next up, we have our blue ruler. This is Reunion, aka Among Us. Doo, 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 doo.
That's
Quick, somebody
When-
call an emergency meeting. Brr. I
When
vote
ruler-
Paul off the ship.
When
I saw
the
Paul
sheet
Vent.
ruler's sus.
It's because it's a blue ruler, and I like blue rulers, right?
I saw Paul vent.
it was green.
That's blue.
So this is Reunion. His whole mechanic is he starts with an extra the crew deck of 10 resonators. They have to be 10 unique resonators, and they cannot be resonators that are in your deck. And once per turn, pay 0, reveal a card from your crew deck at random. You may then cast that card by paying its cost.
You can make it do a task.
You can make it do a task. Yep. Play this ability only during your turn and only once per turn because you can only call 1 meeting per round.
Oh, I see. I get it.
That's how this goes. And you always have to take a break before you can call another meeting because then you have to wait for your opponent's turn and then come back to your turn. Like the memes write themselves, right?
So-
It's just Among Us.
In all seriousness, I am interested to see what the support for this ruler ends up being, because as it is right now, this is just kind of worse strangers.
Oh, we just don't know what the things that you want to put in that deck are.
Right.
Like there's very clearly going to be like super obvious cards that are going to be wanting to be the crew.
Wait,
we just don't know
I'm
what those
curious
are yet.
if there's going to be cards that say they can only be crew.
That'd be interesting.
Potentially.
Okay, wait.
Or like
Lance.
maybe cost less if revealed from the crew
Right,
deck.
those kinds of
Right.
things.
Like, yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Those are
Lance.
certainly options.
I need you to tell the people about your idea for reunion because I have an add-on.
So I want to put Shadow Doppelganger in my every crew deck because it's the imposter.
And the Schrodinger that copies something
Yeah,
when it
the
enters. That's
Harlequin
the
one.
other
Yeah,
one.
so it's those two. But Lance, I figured out the other 8 cards that are going to be in your
Okay,
crew deck.
all right.
Ishikawa, the experienced crew, and Bato, a mercenary crew.
Oh God.
We literally have 8 cards for the crew deck.
Yeah.
Well, they have to be singleton.
Wait, what? Really? Wait,
Yes.
where's it
They
say?
can't
have to be
share
singleton.
names.
They
Of
can't share
exactly 10
names.
raids to initial your name with cards in your deck or side deck. You may not have more than one copy. Never mind. Okay, so these have
They
those
caught
2.
you.
Very importantly.
Yep.
Sorry, there's a
So
lot of words. in there.
one thing to note about Reunion is that Reunion will not have a contract and does not perform judgment and does not have partners. So you are truly playing a singleton ruler as Reunion.
You're playing a
Agree
ruler
now.
that
Feel old
has
yet.
2 draws for 10 turns.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
pretty much.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't
put
think
Avatar
you really
Alice
need
in
more
the
than
ship.
that. Hell yeah.
Avatar Alice's crew. And
Alice's
Imposter.
So
next up
we're-
we have.
We're
Go ahead.
gonna get like the other contract, like the Solar, not the non-Solaris contract rulers as their own resonators at this point, right? And they're all gonna kind of work with crew.
Yeah, probably. I imagine the crew might also be like, Asuka and Killua. Imagine Killua like trying to figure out a spacesuit, just being like, I am dinosaur. Like,
Listen,
how?
I'm a cosmic horror girl. Cthulhu space, it works. We'll be fine.
Yeah, it works. It works for me.
Am I going
Ninjas just being
to
like
outer
in
space,
space,
or am I
everything
going-
is silent. The perfect space for a ninja.
Am I going to outer space or back to space?
Yes.
Yes.
Cosmic
So
horror.
next up we have Falchion. This is the designer of the Reunion. 2 blue, 1 colorless human. Enter, look at the top 7 cards of your deck and put them back in any order. That's insane. Can we just talk
Yes.
about that? 7 cards deep to just rearrange how you want?
That's a good
a
ETB
3-drop.
for a 3-drop.
Yeah. Whenever your opponent plays a spell, reveal the top card of your deck, cancel that spell if the total cost is equal to the total cost of the card revealed this way. Put the revealed card on the bottom of your deck. This ability only triggers once per turn. Like, don't get me wrong, the fact that like the other thing is that blue is the color of instant speed 4C.
Sure.
And the fact that he will have the ability to look at the top 7. So you could easily stack it to be like, high cost card I don't need, card I want to draw. High cost card I don't need, card I want to draw. High cost card I don't need, card I want to draw.
Or just big
right?
brain it and play Hydromonica.
Or that, when you can't look at the deck, right? Or if they don't cast anything, use Hydromonica to then draw the card you want, right?
The Rise of Shion again. Let's
Hell,
go.
let's do it. So
Let's
okay,
do it.
actually though,
Not
this is
playing
kind of
as a
okay in Shion.
Yeah, it's also not bad in Shion, right? Yeah, for sure. Like, this is gonna be a card that if someone figures out a way to play it very well, it is going to be a problem for
I
some
think
people to
just
deal with.
Even that like static ability, I think is not as important as that setting the top 7 cards you deck.
Oh, sure.
Like that.
sure.
That's
That's
the
why
main thing.
Yeah.
Okay, but why he no have quick cast?
Because you're gonna be able to do it with the crew, man.
Oh, right.
You
Sus.
could do it as crew like before recovery on your turn.
Yeah.
Or before draw for turn on your turn.
Maybe to
instead
play
of
with
that.
Light of Raise and Revive, just right in there. Oh,
This
Power
card
move.
doesn't have barrier, which is why I think it is bad.
Yeah.
Paul over here, like, this
Fair
blue
take.
card doesn't have the keyword that I like. Therefore,
dies,
it's bad.
dies to removal, bad card.
Ah,
That's
yeah,
a
dies
bad
from
card.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
If your opponent plays a 13/13, this does nothing, man. Come on.
Yeah.
This card with a rule of law effect, aka 1 spell per turn. We do have that addition, the 3-drop addition that makes it so your opponent can only play 1 spell a turn.
And,
Right?
and that librarian guy.
Oh, so we're gonna play Eternal Tower now too. So cancel all
Yeah.
1-drops.
Just got it controlled.
Stacks,
Crystal
let's
Barrier,
go.
Crystal. There is also, I think, a 1-drop cancel out there that is look at the top card of your deck. If it's the same cost, cancel it.
Yeah, it's a Welser card.
Yeah, right. But I think that's a 1 cost, right?
2 cost.
Is it 2?
2 cost. It's bad.
Okay. If it was a 1 cost, I'd be like, we might have something going on here. Anyway,
Grow Grim?
okay. Next up we have Crystal Barrier. 1 white or 1 blue, 1 colorless. Quick cast. Prevent all non-battle damage that would be dealt to you by or J/resonators you control until end of turn. Mastery. Reunion. Moon. Battleship.
I don't think this is ever going to be cast for its mastery.
Unless you're choosing to play Flute's Water Dragon in this deck.
Yeah, just have the card at all times.
I
It's
love
Water Dragon on the crew. Let's go.
Let's
I
go.
love Albatross's space site.
I don't know.
What?
So do you play it in your crew deck or play 4 of it in your main deck?
I think you play 4 of it main
Yeah.
boarded. Like pretty immediately,
Can't
right?
you not put it in
Okay.
your...
When I said I wanted barrier, I did not mean this. Okay, I wanted barrier on the last card, not like its own card that isn't actually barrier. Okay, this is not what I designed. This is not what I wanted.
I will say though, like as a sideboardable card to just like help answer like a burn deck, like don't hate it for a 2-drop like techable sideboard card that only costs 1 blue. Like that's kind of nice, but the mastery is not going to be a thing. As someone who like A is notoriously bad at playing burn and B is notoriously just like don't like playing against burn, this card existing is like yes, please.
I just don't think it's because I'm trying to think of like what burn spell are we worried about?
Oh, sure. It's more of like I'm glad it exists if burn sees a resurgence.
Sure.
Is that fair?
Yeah,
Right?
I'm just trying to think. It's like Bahamut's not nearly as played anymore. So it's like
Vega,
Vega, I guess.
It's not really a burn spell.
Yeah.
but no one's really going aggro with Vega.
Yeah.
Like Berserker stuff. Last Sacred Sword.
It does stop sealed one-eye dragon.
This is true.
So there's the thing. Okay, next up we have Reflected Refrain, Guardian Twins of the Cocoon, 3 cost 9/9 Wanderer, quick cast flying. You pay 1 green less to play this card if you played a Resonator this turn. You pay 1 green less to play this card if you played a Chant this turn. You play 1 green less to play this if you played a Addition this turn. And on enter, cancel target spell or automatic or activate ability. You may put a magic counter on a J ruler you control. This card is going to get combo banned with Melfi in 2 seconds.
Oh yes.
Like. If not immediately on release, within 3 months.
Yeah, if Melfi is not combo banned with this, I'm playing 4 and 4. Like no question.
Yeah.
Because the second that Melfi's on the chase, this thing costs 1.
Imagine if we still like you.
Oh, don't
Stop.
take it with a good time.
Stop. Stop. The new Aristella does also burn. That's true. The new Aristella does burn face. That's a thing. So
Yeah, but
That's
we
fair.
can fog that.
that's true because that's a J ruler damage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Metal Lifeform Dragon. That's true. That's become pretty popular for some decks as well. We saw a Killua burn deck that was pretty popular this last event with Metal Lifeform Dragon, Sealed One-Eye Dragon, and Grand Leon, just like playing like activate ability burn to not have to worry about cancels. Like we saw that kind of reset. Like I said, I'm glad that that barrier card exists if we see a resurgence of people playing burn strategies. That's all for me.
Yeah, 3 of an old
Okay.
RR. Absolutely. Card's good. amazing.
Okay. Next up we have Inheritance of Magical Power. 2 green, 1 colorless. You may pay 1 green less to play this card if you control the Reflect Refrain we just saw. Draw 2 cards, put the top card of your Magic Stone deck into the field rested. This card is for limited. Moving on.
It's you know, if Reflect and Refrain is uncombo banned with Melfi, Inheritance of Magical Power becomes pretty good.
Okay, so we have 5 other cards that we spoiled during the GP. We have Rotting Slime, 1 cost 10/10 with Bane. Whenever a player plays a spell, this card gets -2/-2 until end of turn. When this card is put into a graveyard from the field, your opponent loses 400 life. Not 4,000 life, 400 life.
Now 4,000 life.
So yeah, there's that. This is pretty cool. It's definitely a card that I would see played in like control-y kind of decks that just want to go like call stone, swing in for combat, go your turn, right? Because then if you get into a control fight against your opponent and then this thing dies accidentally, you're like, okay, well you lose 4, right? Just like as a consequence of fighting me over something, you lose 4 because I'm not going to be casting cards very often, right? And it's a 10/10 threat by itself. So that's my thought here.
Yeah, I'm not sure how often 5 spells are going to be relevant with this.
Yeah.
It's like this is just a good blocker. It's a really good blocker on turn 1.
It is a very good blocker, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like if you play a bunch of sword progressions, you can really knock this thing down. Anyway,
I'm not going to say it.
no, we're gonna flash in the Malfi and do it over and over again. That's
Yeah,
the plan.
there we go.
That's it. That's it. Anyway, what were we talking about?
We're talking about Rotting Slime.
No,
And now
cool,
we're gonna
okay.
move on to the next one,
Good.
which is Gears Eater, 2 red, 7/7, enter, destroy up to 2 non-Magic Stone entities with no attribute. This card is not good, but however, I will say this: if you're playing that new Flicker spell to like cheat something in and put something back, does see some potential sideboard application if you're already playing that card.
Yeah, if you expect Eins to be...
If you expect Eins or other
Yeah.
Gears rulers, this card is suddenly like, I pay 1, kill 2 of your things. Like,
I don't know.
that's not nothing.
We might see some really degenerate Void cards in this set. You never know.
We do have 3 Void rulers in this set.
Yes.
This artwork,
So,
this artwork
like-
makes me very uncomfortable.
It's Zeton from Ultraman. Like, almost exactly.
Magic Pot think Rotting Slime works in Carlino? What?
She can only cast 1 card per turn. So
Yes.
someone did
Yes.
mention dark playing slime with dark Shaka where all of your stat negs become stat bonuses and all of your stat bonuses become doubled. So then every
Come
spell you play
on,
gives this thing +4/+4.
stop.
And it's just like,
Oh,
oh,
and then
okay.
you play this with Aristella and Little Red Riding Hood.
Oh, stop.
There you go.
Let's go. Yeah,
this is
for sure.
all bad.
Next up, we have Recalling Wind, 1 green, 2 colorless, quick cast. Put all non-magic stone cards that were put into your graveyard from the field this turn from your graveyard into your hand.
I think this is an interesting card.
Interesting is a good word.
It has the same effect on me as seeing the Sprout that they let us spoil last set, where I was just like,
cool, thanks.
what else? What else is there for this card? Because something else has to be there, right? Very curious to see what that is.
I mean,
Oh wait, this costs 3. I just realized it costs 3. This is unplayable.
Yeah.
It's that little 2 in the bubble.
Yeah, if
play if it was
the
a
little 2
2-drop.
wasn't there, I would play it if it was a 1-drop. Your situational
I could see an
recursion
argument
cards.
for, like, I'm gonna swing in with my board. Oh, you killed all my stuff. Cool. I'll just bring it back for 2. Sure, but 3. God no.
Yeah.
God no.
This would be Splinter playable at 2, but right now it's not.
Next up, we have Lasting Spirits of the Crimson Moon. Enter, rest target non-magic stone entity you control that your opponent controls. It doesn't recover as long as this card is in the field. This card gains all abilities and keywords of the chosen target until the end of game, and it is a 2-drop, 2/5. Doesn't copy its name, doesn't copy its races, doesn't copy its attributes, doesn't copy its stats, just taps it down forever as long as this card survives, and then it gains all of the abilities.
Which is a very bizarre, like, phrasing on rules text.
Yeah.
You
I like this card a lot.
You Riley died for this. This is not
I
on a
like this
snack
too.
woman. I don't want this.
Like, I'm really trying to think of, like, what do I want to hit with this? And it's
Virgil. Anyway.
Magic Stone
Right,
Research
yeah.
Institute,
Yeah.
Oh, entity.
maybe-
Okay.
because you
Yeah.
can tap down that. Well, because the other thing is you can tap down their Magic Stone Research Institute, and then it gains the ability of all your resonators gain +2/+2 for every single stone you control, and it's a resonator, so that suddenly it's buffing itself.
Yeah. This card's so
Just
good.
saying.
Oh, it's a spirit. Don't we have spirit tribal stuff from
You also
those?
have Spirit Ring to be able to make this free.
Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing.
there's very good applications. Like, this is an ideal blue card. I just want more of these.
Oh, this is so ideal in Val 1.0.
Actually,
You're
It
not
could be, but it's a
literally.
1-drop.
You're not wrong.
No,
like,
Val
and we
can
saw
cheat
Val
in-
1.
Val
We
can cheat
saw
in
Val 1.
1-drops.
Yeah.
for
Yep,
2.
you're
But you
not
can't.
wrong.
It's 2 or lower. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. She's not
Into
bad.
your
She's
turn.
not good, but she's not bad.
Yeah.
All right, so
Cheating
now
us
we
in with
just
Val is
need
pretty
like
grisly.
2 more clusters, and then we get a ruler that has an extension rule to play SKL rulers, and then we'll be golden.
Done.
Ooh.
Done.
There we go.
Don't
Done.
tempt me with a good
Meta.
time.
We're predicting the meta. 2
And also-
years
Okay.
Also, very importantly, there's already a ruler that lets you basically partner with SKL rulers. It's called Val 2.0. Continue.
Anyway, now we have the card that we're going to spend the most time talking about, which is this is Rumsfeld. Rumsfeld, the member
Hi,
of the 12
Rumsfeld.
Sacred Knights, 1-drop 2/2 Moo Tribe 12 Sacred Knight. This card gains +2/+2 for each J/ruler your opponent controls. Pay 1 white, J/resonators you control gain Eternal and Barrier until end of turn, and it has the other continuous ability of J/rulers your opponent controls lose all abilities.
That's
It's a good
lot
card.
of tax.
That
Well,
is a lot of text.
That's Force of Light, everybody.
Yeah.
Classic Force of Light. This light is the best color in this game. It's gonna kill it. I might as well just sell my collection now.
Fluoride's
Paul,
garbage.
you were-
Get these out of here.
Paul, you were asking for Eternal and Barrier. Sorry, just Barrier, but whatever.
Yeah, I just barrier.
Yeah, just Barrier.
Inherent barrier.
Yeah, and you can get multiple instances of it.
It doesn't have inherent barrier. It
It
does
costs
have to
1.
Sure, but it like
No, that's what
Okay.
I'm saying. I want inherent barrier for Falchion, but I don't get that. I get Rumsfeld instead.
Play Rumsfeld.
Game's over.
Easy.
We can all go home now.
Okay, so here are my thoughts about this card.
Dies to removal. Bad card.
Not even that. That's not my thought about this card.
Yes.
This card to me, I like that it was printed. I kind of wish that it was symmetrical, but it doesn't break this card for me that it's not symmetrical, because we've had floodgates in Faust history that are not symmetrical. Like power level, I'll say this. Power level wise and influence on deck building and gameplay for this card, to me, is akin to when Witch of the Fallen Kingdom was first printed.
Mm-hmm.
But
Definitely.
before Pumpkin Witch, right?
Correct.
So like when we were purely just using Witch of the Fallen Kingdom to influence deck building for searching, and there people got less reliant on searching, were playing better spot removal to be able to answer it. I like those things. Like Black Witch existing in that environment forced a change in the meta, I think, for the better. And I think Rumsfeld has that same impact.
So you
right?
think this is kind of to push people away from contracts?
I don't think it's that. I think that it makes it not just... It forces contract rulers to be less greedy and actually have their mana bases, and it forces them to actually have to play spot removal that matters, and not just, oh, I'll just sealed one-eyed it. Right? Because we've seen a lot of contract rulers pivot to, I'll use Darkness Moonchild and sealed one-eyed as my spot removal, and that's enough. Right? And against a tri-ruler, that is literally not enough against Rumsfeld. Because it will be an 8/8, so sealed one-eyed dragon won't kill it, and that you won't have Darkness Moonchild for it.
I wonder if we're gonna see like Moonray come in to something that's unchaseable.
Maybe. We already have Alice's Fantastic Trick, right? Like there is like options for it. So this to me, it was designed to target two things. It was designed to actually make a better threat, and force change from tri-ruler deck building, and it's an out to some of the most problematic singleton rulers, being Ainz and Darktree and things like that, right? Decks that have, like, as singleton rulers, just put a bad taste in some players' mouths and like cause some frustration, because there are some people who will just like, they'll bring Darktree to an event just because, and then they get paired up against someone who gets pissed off that there's a Darktree there because they just don't have an answer to it, right? Whereas now, if you're playing Rumsfeld in the sideboard, like, you can always be prepared for a Darktree, right? Flames of the Outer World. Yeah, Flames of the Outer Worlds can hit this card. Like there were a lot of people who were saying, "Oh, card's broken." Card is, in my opinion, honestly very well designed. Like a tri-ruler deck, will have to shift its deck building for it existing, and will be stunned shortly by an early Rumsfeld sticking against them, and they will have to be prepared for that, right? But like a tag ruler or a singleton ruler won't get like really that punished by this thing coming down early, because they'll just kill it immediately, because you can sealed one-eyed it or burn it for 4, right? If you're a single ruler, it's only 400, right? But then also if you're like, for those decks, and here's the thinking big brain, right? If I'm a singleton ruler, I'm usually probably pretty dependent on my ruler effect, right? But it's easier for me to kill Rumsfeld. So if my opponent slams a Rumsfeld early, I probably have a way to kill it pretty effectively, right? But if they wait to try to stick Rumsfeld where they can use its natural protection effect, I've probably already gotten some use out of my ruler, which means I'm probably already in the game a little bit too, right? So it just, like, there's a lot of counterplay to this card, but like I think the threat of it creates a good presence in the meta that I think will have an overall healthy impact.
Yeah, this card is absolutely fine.
Yeah, I look at this like Shackles, where it's just like, yeah, it's good, kind of necessary. It's not ruining the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because also, if you're playing against a singleton or a tag ruler, this is a 4/4 or a 6/6. Like, it's not winning you the game by itself, right?
Yeah.
Like it also, even against for tri-rulers, like sure it's an 8/8, so it's harder to, like, the stat line makes it harder to kill, but it's also not like winning you the game because it doesn't have any way to fly, it doesn't have any pierce. It's just like it can get chump blocked by a Lorite.
I think
Right?
what's good about this too is that it does not turn off contracts.
Yes. The problem, so the biggest question I have about this truly is,
It does turn
will
off
this will there be an update to the CR that makes judgment and ordering a rules, like a process that
like
can't
a
be
player
removed?
action.
Like that can't be removed
Yeah.
as opposed to being an ability. And the reason why I would be okay with that being a change is the fact that with Rumsfeld on the field, they could still do it, but also those things they're putting into play don't have enter effects.
Yeah.
Right? Because it does hit J rulers, right? So like contracts get to play the spell and they can put their J ruler into play, but the J ruler doesn't do anything, right? I would like to extend the same courtesy to judgment and rule and order based decks. Personally, I think that would be a nice kind of tweak to that. But again, also judgment and order based decks have an infinitely easier time killing Rumsfeld than anything else. So it's like, yeah, maybe it's fine.
I don't know what to say about this card. This card's just so good.
I'm surprised that's not the Marvel.
I'm surprised they let me spoil it.
Well, the fact is, it is a super, which means that some people might have some difficulty getting access to it, but still, it's not the Marvel. So, like, there's going to be more copies of this than not. I think this definitely feels like, oh, I got to buy the set because there's this really good super in the set now. All of that being said, you have tri-rulers. We have spells that if you tap rulers you control, you get additional effects.
Yeah,
Mastery.
they still have 3 rulers. They're just
And you still have mastery,
Yeah.
right?
You still
like
have
that's
mastery.
not like a thing. That's
It
still a
doesn't blank
thing.
their names, it just blanks their abilities. I get, like you said, Lance, like you still get to contract. You lose all your abilities, but you still get the contract. So like the card definitely stymies those tri-rulers, but it also gives singleton rulers something to do, right? Like I can see this going into Sword Faria.
Sword
And
Faria,
being like-
Order Alice.
Yeah. Like it's a card that I think I'm glad it was printed.
I'm
Olivia.
100%. I 100% see a world where I'm playing Order Alice and I order this card so it won't be countered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they made it a super to get more of this card out there, even though it feels like a Marvel rare. Yeah, I'm glad it's not a Marvel. Like I'm glad that I'm glad that a Floodgate style card isn't in a Marvel slot. Like that feels like Konami.
Yeah,
and
it's
I don't
a
want
really
us to feel
good
like
decision, just like from a player outreach kind of perspective.
Let's real quick. I just want to go through a couple of things that can deal with this card, even when it sticks on field. If people try to like jam it super early, Soul Hunt
Yeah.
gets rid of it. If someone tries to go in, Alice's Fantastic Trick, we talked about that before. The Flames of the Outer World, which we can get to early. If they try to go for giving all their stuff barrier and stuff, you can do
Gradius.
no, not Gradius, because it will have
Well,
barrier.
in
and that
response to the activate effect, I'm saying. Right?
Oh, sure. Yes, you
Like,
could do
I'm
that.
gonna do
if
this,
if they
right?
only have one will to be able to protect it, you could do that. But even after it resolves, Hellfire of the Demonic World will also kill everything because they just gave Eternal and Barrier to all of their stuff. Like we have outs to this card. You can also
Inferno,
play things like
Crumbling World.
Mistletoe to stop them from being able to use the activate ability of this card. Tsukiyomi Noble to
Yeah.
prevent them from being able to use the activate ability of this
We've
card.
been talking a lot about that.
So like, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, this also does kill Belial. That makes things really sucky for Belial. He's banned, but this makes things really sucky for Belial.
Ruin Story with Scheherazad's unbanning.
Oh yeah.
You can't ruin stories for Scheherazad. Turn off
Oh,
Sherry's access to the story deck.
Oh, you can still cast Ruin Story though.
Yeah, from hand. Yeah, from hand.
But
Yeah,
what
sure.
Sherry deck is only playing the one in the story deck? Let's be honest.
Most of them,
I'm
to
gonna
be
say,
honest.
Feels a little expensive right now. Rain of Comments.
Yeah, Raiders
Yeah,
Helmets.
that's true. That's
I mean, if
true. But that's what I'm saying is like there
If you're
are
playing a Sherry,
like,
just main deck Black Tears.
Yeah.
but
There you go.
this is what I'm saying in the sense of like this feels like this kind of conversation is the same kind of conversation we're having about that we had when Witch of the Fallen Kingdom was first printed. And like to have the conversation be the same in the fact that like we can point to outs for it, but we know that it's going to influence the game state and deck building is what I want out of this card. So I think it's doing its job already, which is great for me. So that's my thoughts. And that brings us to the end of our time tonight. I do want to point out one thing though that's very funny. Rumsfeld is riding Warhorse.
Yeah.
Came off the ban list, came back from its journey after being banned, and brought back Rumsfeld. It was like making up for it. It's like, I'm sorry, I had to go on a journey, and I brought back
found
Rumsfeld.
this gnome wearing a suit. Take
Yeah,
it
there are
away.
answers. You just need to play those cards and draw them. Yeah, which is why this card is a playable card, right? Like, card has strength. Card can be answered. Card is still worth playing.
Yeah,
Card is
you're-
still worth considering in your deck building.
Your
right?
opponent still has to find it and play it. So
Yeah, right.
it's the same
Exactly.
argument.
Yep. I like this card a lot. I'm looking forward to having 4 full art copies of it. And
So you
like
can
a
see the
million
full
extra. Yeah, so I can see the full Warhorse. By the way, I will be trying to make this a mat for FowFest. I will be trying to make Rumsfeld a mat for FowFest. 100%.
Yes.
Like, just perfect. And Warhorse will just be like down in the corner of the mat, just like, hey.
Make it a vertical mat.
And that's our show for tonight, everybody.
Don't you
So-
remember when Force of Will made all those?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I have a
that's
lot of them still.
Me too.
They're easy
Thank
to
you all
see
so
on
much for
stream.
joining us tonight. We have plenty of spoilers left to go. We'll be seeing all these kind of new cards. Again, consider clicking the join button down below. You can also, again, get your pre-orders in for Crimson Moon Battleground, the set we've been talking about tonight, in the link in the description. You can also check out a couple. There's like a lot of other links in the description. There's like the Grand War that's going on to get the new promo. You can get the sign up for the May 20th Discord event down below. Like, just go check out the description because there's all kinds of crazy stuff happening right now. But as always, I'm DMO73, and I have been joined by Mike Rance.
Moo moo.
Yep, Moo Moo. Paul Reisman
Me.
and Lance Maverick.
Thanks for having me once again.
Glad to have you back. And until
You
next
broke
time,
the cycle.
class dismissed.